Howdy, everyone. You're listening to Blue Jeans and Boots, where genetics grad students talk about how to navigate a PhD program while trying to stay sane. We also often invite faculty from our interdisciplinary program here at Texas A&M and pick their brains about their research, what it's like being a principal investigator, and their journey to become a professor here at A&M. In this episode, we'll talk to Mayra Mendoza Serna. Mayra is a PhD candidate in Dr. Terje Rautsep's lab in the interdisciplinary graduate program in genetics and genomics at Texas A&M. Her lab focuses on comparative genomics, cytogenetics, and sex chromosomes of mammalian genomes. Mayra has done research in Camelids, which is a group of mammals consisting of camels, llamas, alpacas, vicuñas, and guanacos. My name is Veronika, and I'll be your host today. Hi, Mayra.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. Happy, nervous.
No, that's okay. I understand. So I think we just get into it. So can you please tell us a bit about your research and your journey here at Texas A&M?
I do research in alpaca genomics. We are focusing on the genomic part, on how to assemble good genomes for such camelids. My forte is right now in alpacas because that's related to what I did while I was doing my master's. So I came here after finishing research in my country. That's so far, like in general, that's it.
Okay, so you said that during your master's you already started to do research in this area.
Yeah.
That's interesting. What about before going into your master's? Is that something that was like your goal to be in this area?
Actually, no. It really took me a hard second to realize that I wanted to study. I wanted to do academia.
Okay.
You have no idea how many times I said to myself, while I was an undergrad, that I will never do like a master's or a PhD because that was not on my mindset. And I guess that's also important to mention because not everyone knows that like if you want to do research, that's not something that you have to know. For an instance, since you start studying, that can grow up with you. And that's what happened to me. I really liked my career while I was an undergrad, but once I finished, I decided to work, not doing any sort of research. I kind of regret not doing research while I was an undergrad, but that was not my mindset back then.
Yeah, no, I understand.
So I was working and then I guess that I felt like I was missing something. I knew I have like the capability to study. So I decided to look for a master's program in an area that I kind of liked, which was agro, not necessarily related to camelids. So I found my master program, but I couldn't start the way I wish because I was working full time.
Yes.
So I kind of stopped for a second, and then while I found myself without any job responsibilities, I decided to fully commit to my master's. And then I had a chance to come here as an intern twice while I was doing my master. And my PI back then, he proposed me to do alpaca research, and I was just sold by alpacas.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, so you said you did an internship here twice.
Yes.
Was that like a summer type of internship, or was it like a semester, or?
The first time I came here, it was for 4 months, and it was mostly related to my master's. I was not fully feeling any internship like for my country type of thing. It was kind of a free thing, like for me just to came here, supported by my research back in Peru. The second time I applied specifically for a funding to come back again, just to finish whatever we needed to finish. And then I kind of stopped on the alpaca theme for a second because I needed to work on whatever was available for me.
Yes.
And then the opportunity to come back as a PhD student came back, and I was like, yes, I guess I will do it again.
Yeah, I guess so. So when you visited here for your internships, was that with Dr. Rautsep?
Yes,
it was.
Yes,
okay, so you guys
I
knew
came
each
back
other.
twice to her lab, and when I applied to the program, of course I wanted to came back to her
Obviously.
lab, but there was like it was not set. Like if I come in and I get in, I will stay with her due to funding and stuff.
Yes.
But we ended up figuring out that we can work with it.
Oh,
I'm very happy that I'm back in her lab.
That's great. So with your internships, was there any other like options for you to do them? Like, why did you choose A&M?
Because one of my co-PIs is a long-time friend from Dr. Rosep. So he knew that she was doing the research that I needed to fulfill. And we were doing alpaca stuff. And Texas A&M is one of the few labs in the world that has a alpaca back library. And we needed that resource. And we knew that this lab, it's like very good at fish and cytogenetics, and we needed that. So it was kind of designated. It was a very good spot. And back then, they were still working on very important alpaca research related to stuff. So I guess it was just the best place for me to come.
Okay. Following this, with all of your experience now in the Camelids research, is this something that you want to pursue after grad school as well?
I would love to.
Yes.
I would love to, because it's important for me as a researcher, for my country. But sadly, it's not a species that everyone knows or care about, because it's so focused in some areas in the world that it's very hard to get funding. That's one of the main things. And we wish that funding is not an issue, but sometimes it is.
Yes.
But I'm very open, to work in any mammal, because that's what I know. But if I can choose, I will definitely choose to keep going in this area.
Okay. So, what does a typical day look like for you?
So I get ready. I make my 3-year-old ready.
Okay.
Yes. So I have 2 kids.
Yeah.
And my older one, he goes to daycare. So I have to drop him sharp at 8:30 in the morning. And then I drive to my lab. And this is very important. I dedicate to myself at least 10 minutes in my car.
Okay.
Just doing nothing, because by that point I just have no responsibilities, and I just try to get myself ready, and I'm on my lab, and I try to finish everything by 5, because then I have to pick him up and just take him home. And my husband takes care of my baby, which is 7 months old. So we kind of share our responsibilities that way.
Yes.
And then at home is just spending the day with them. We usually do not much after that.
Well, that's good. You need the rest.
Yes.
Well, with that's a very different experience than what I have, because navigating a PhD program whilst having kids.
Yes. It's interesting.
I would say so, but what else are you doing to try to stay sane? I don't know, research is a lot of time, and you have to dedicate, I don't know, a lot of your time into it. We love it, but it's exhausting sometimes.
It is.
And with kids at home.
Well, I kind of sometimes try to engage. I usually take my kid when I can, on the weekends.
Okay.
If I have to go to the lab, I take him to the lab. So he knows that's my workspace.
Yeah.
And I have a very understandable husband. Okay. He knows that sometimes when there are deadlines or things that I really have to finish, I like to do those things for myself. Yes. I prioritize family when I'm with family, and I prioritize my work when I'm doing my work. So I try to separate them, but when I can merge the 2 things, that's very nice.
Well, it sounds like you have it balanced pretty well.
I try.
Yeah.
I have to find my own balance.
Yeah. Okay. So back to your lab. Are there any interesting findings you have discovered so far that you are willing to share with us?
On my research, yes, I guess there's some things that I'm really picking, and I really think there is something else behind. So these camelids in general, alpacas, vicuñas, just talking about the South American ones, they are able to hybridize with each other, and they mate and they generate fertile offspring. The thing is that they all share the same cytogenetic map, so the same number of chromosomes and everything. But still, it's not good on the productive side when they mate, because you kind of decrease your fiber your your stats, and you don't want to lose them. So it's important to recognize hybrids. One thing that we never know was about how these NORs, these nuclear organizing regions, were distributed in camelids, and we thought they usually are set on specific chromosomes. So for some species, we know in which chromosomes these clusters are located, but we didn't know exactly in which chromosomes they were located in camelids. So while looking at research, we realized that actually no one knew, and it's a higher number than the average species in mammals.
Really?
So for example, cats, they have just one, and humans, they have 5, and cattle 5 as well, but these ones apparently they have like 10 pairs. So they are moving around, and they are not on the same chromosomes when you look at different species. So that was something that we kind of discover while doing cytogenetics, which is something very basic, but they try to overlook that, and also just because it's such a very intricate sort of sequences, it's very hard to address them. And now by having these ultra long reads like stuff, now we can look twice at them, and I guess I will stop till I figure it out exactly what is going on with NORs in camelids, and extrapolate that to all our camelids, which is camels and Bactrians and stuff like that.
Honestly, this is very interesting because I feel like people I've spoken to before are usually doing work with mice and flies and cells and yeast. So this is very refreshing to be hearing about a whole completely different area.
Yeah, it's interesting when you work with that non-model species, but it's also hard because there is no information available. If I go and try to find a probe with humans or mice, I will, but I cannot have the same thing if I'm doing
would
stuff.
you say that's a bit of a challenge then in your area?
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. That makes things a little bit harder. But that's part of what it is.
Yes. Okay, fair enough. So your PI, Dr. Rautzep, also runs a cytogenetic service lab.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little about this service and your involvement in it?
Well, I'm pretty involved in it.
Okay.
It's a very nice thing. So I actually, when I came here the first time and they introduced me what the lab was doing, I thought that was the norm. I thought every lab was doing service sort of.
Can you explain exactly what the service is?
So we offer service to karyotype, basically mammals, but our main species is horses.
Okay.
Horses are very valuable, and when you try to breed them and you find that there is something wrong with them, and you already rule out every veterinarian diagnosis, one of the things that can be involved to sex development disorders can be genetics. And sometimes it can be aneuploidies, so having just one X chromosomes, or chromosomal translocations that will definitely decrease the chances of a mare to be able to breed or a stallion to be able to mate. So that's what we offer. We offer the karyotyping analysis to see if the chromosomes are normal, if there is a normal number of chromosomes, as well as mainly X chromosomes are good or Y chromosomes are good, and also molecular analysis to see if the genes are where at least the important ones.
Okay.
Because there has been cases, and that's something that happens very interestingly in horses, where they have this sex reversal thing.
Really?
They have a Y chromosome, but they don't have the S or Y gene. So they develop as an hermaphrodite sort of thing. And XO cases are very, very common in horses.
So would these cases be able to produce viable offspring or no?
No, if they are XO, definitely no. But at least you don't keep trying to breed.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's a service we offer, and that's on the horse side of things. But there is also people that veterinarians, that they believe that something that is going on with the animal, dogs, cats, is related to their karyotype, so they send a sample. Something that my lab did was finding the first GIP, so this goat-sheep cross, Okay. And there, after more than 20 cases of suspected GIPs, they got one. We have one in our lab.
Wow.
So that's something that you can see by looking at the chromosomes.
Impressive.
Yes. So that's what we do. So we receive samples. It's like I think it's one of the few labs worldwide that offers.
I was about to say,
service.
like, how often, like, do you see this in labs doing this?
Not many.
Not many.
We are referred by some very important places because we're one of the few that offers the service. We are not like a very known lab because we manage it ourselves. It's not like we receive hundreds of samples. But we receive just a good amount, enough to have it like the engine going on. And the other thing is that besides we offer the service, we also have like samples coming into our lab. And then we have our hands in very interesting cases. Yes. So due to this exposure, while I was doing my internships, I was involved in one case of a translocation in a mare that was like incredible. Like those chromosomes were like shuffled completely. And the mare was like there, alive, and she was happy with her life, but her chromosomes were a mess, and it was so interesting. So we were able to publish that case.
Really?
Yeah, because it was such an interesting translocation that we figured out by fish what were the breakpoints, which chromosomes were involved, and tried to discuss the phenotype of the animal. And also, like, 2 clones came to our lab, and one clone had a translocation while the other one didn't.
Really?
So I was like, what? So that's the kind of things that you can see while you like do this.
Yeah, no, that's very cool because obviously your lab is focusing on an area, and then you have a whole another part of the lab where you never know what comes in.
Yes.
It's not like you're seeking it or like it just happens.
It comes to you, yes.
So how long has Dr. Rautzep been doing this in her lab?
I know the lab is up for like 20 years.
Really?
Yeah. Not the way it is right now. I guess right now we have a kind of set of clients that they know us, and like big companies, mostly equine companies that just send us samples routinely. But I guess 20 years.
Okay. Cool.
So we have an interesting collection of samples.
No, I bet. I mean, I'm very interested now, like, what are the other cases? And especially if you have publications out of it too, because if it's that interesting, it has to be known.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that she likes to keep, like, yes, just keep sending me with cases because very likely we're going to find something. This. Yes.
So kind of going back to your career and how you ended up at A&M and in science. So I guess the question is, what motivated you to pursue this? Like, what motivated you to come to the States from your country and pursue a PhD?
Well, I had my internships. I was back in my country. I was working, but then the pandemic hit.
Okay.
And my country was facing a very hard political moment, and the fundings were cut for everything that was non-COVID related.
Really?
So I was like, my research is finishing and I have nothing else, and I was pregnant. So I was like, this is not fun. And if I wanted to keep working, I was picturing myself like being pregnant in a country that is having political issues, having a career that is based on research. What I'm gonna do? Like I was just like, it was a very difficult time. As I was on the database of Texas A&M, because I had an internships, I did receive this email from the genetics department saying that, hey, we're closing our admissions like in a month. So in case you want to do it, just send me anything. And I was like, maybe this is what I need.
Maybe that's what I need.
Yeah. So I actually decided to apply while I was pregnant of my first kid. It was not in my plans, but then I was like, maybe that's something that is not going to be good only for me, but also for my family. I talked with my husband. He knew this place because he came with me the second time I did my internship. And we decided that it was good not only for us, but also for our family. Because it's a very it's a very quiet city
It is.
compared to Lima, which I'm from. This is very nice. So we decided to give it a shot, and that's why I ended up on Texas A&M, because that was a place that I knew already, and I kind of keep wanted to be doing research, but I knew I will have limitations if I wanted to pursue this in the country. Sadly, because I will love to be doing this there, but it's just sadly, like, fundings are always going to be tied to political interest, and if you don't prioritize research, then it's hard.
Yeah. So with that, what would be your advice, I guess, to people who, got their bachelor's, were thinking about academia, were not really sure, like, how would you maybe navigate them in terms of, like, your experiences?
Well, I guess if you have the doubt, it's because you think that you can do research or academia. If that's something that is calling you, listen to that voice. It's also hard if you don't have a plan B, because if you cannot support yourself while doing what you want, then it's even harder. For most of my colleagues, one of the things that we were able to do was to leave our country, to keep doing what we want. And that's always a possibility. It's hard, but it's also very rewarding when you try to just do not be bothered by the issues that are not allowing you to do whatever you want, and just giving that extra step. And you can always come back.
Yeah. Are you still in touch with your mentor from Lima?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Actually, we're going there to present part of our work in one of the conferences that he's holding. So yeah.
So are you also collaborating, or you are?
Yes, we are. Yes.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. So as a first year student, I just finished my first year, so it's been rotations in the lab, trying different areas of research, thinking about what I'm going to do after this, which is in a while, but that's where my mind is at sometimes. What would be your advice for future first year students?
Well, for first years in the program, definitely things are going to get easier while going through everything that you have to finish. I don't think I'm the best person to give an advice on can you do next, because I don't know what I'm going to do next. And that's something that I guess I will just have to take. But my reality is different, because I just cannot think for myself. I do have a family, so I'm kind of looking to be established with them for a little bit. Personally, I found in academia the time for me to spend with my family. So if I have an emergency with my kids, or they are sick, whatever, I can always stay home, and then I can always come back to my lab or do my research whenever I have the time to, as long as I fulfill my things. So, and I did work on sort of industry while I was younger, and I don't think I had that door open.
Yes.
So for me, in that aspect, I think academia is something that it's been very nice to me, family-wise.
Okay.
So, well, I know no much of the income students have kids, but I mean, it's you can also use that with your personal life, whatever you're going through. Like, I guess it's still, and it gives you an open space for you to do whatever is best for you. And enjoy, because I guess it's gonna be harder after we finish anyway.
That's fair. Yeah. So you mentioned that you were in industry. So your master's. So you were in industry before you did your master's?
Yes.
You were, okay.
Well, industry sort of. I was working for companies that sort of as a vendor, like companies that were selling technologies.
Yes.
It was quite a few years ago. Like, the technology I was selling is not longer available. But that was time consuming. I met a lot of people. I really enjoyed the experience. But as having that experience, I cannot see myself doing that again on a long period. But I better don't say I won't, because then I don't know. Maybe I ended up doing it again. I don't know.
Yeah. So during that experience, you just felt like, I want to do something more.
Yes.
I have to continue in
Yes.
academia.
Yes, that hits me. Like, I was doing good, and then I was like, you know what? I guess I can do more things. And I was dragged again to it, and it was not my plan for sure. But I guess it's worth to mention it, because, as I said, you don't have to dream of this pathway your whole life to do it.
Yes.
You can find your way anyways later.
Yeah, and that's when you decided to do a master's and then continue here.
Yes, and I guess that's where I actually started my academic pathway, because while I was an undergrad, that was not my focus. So when people ask me, like, what were you doing while you were an undergrad, like your research, I was like, I don't.
Yeah.
No.
That was not your mindset.
No,
and
that
that's
was
fair.
not. Yes.
So would you say that your mentor from Lima, like, really opened the path for you?
Definitely.
Yeah.
He trusted me. He saw something in me that I didn't even know I had. And I stick working with him and his projects for quite a while, because I liked what we were doing and how things were being done, until I decided to come here.
Yeah. So what would you say would be some qualities you value in a mentor?
Dedication. Like, I am very person that appreciates the hands-on on you, because I know I'm learning, and so that's something that I also have with my PI. She's very hands-on. She has her own bench in the lab. I know.
Really?
That's not, I know. That's not something common.
That's nice.
It
That's
is
not
nice.
common, though, as you
Yes.
said.
So I know she's going to be there at some point, and I can just ask her anything I want. I feel like I don't get judged if I make mistakes, because she makes me feel like that's the way to learn, and she has also done it.
Yes.
So that's what I try to sometimes tell my undergrads, like, it's fine, I'm also learning.
Yes, we're all learning.
Yes, so you are more than welcome to make mistakes, as long as you're fair with it, like, and you go straight forward and admit, like, I did this. Then you learn, and you will very likely to not make the same mistake again. And that's something that I really appreciate from my mentors in general. Like, I was never judged.
Yes.
So I do like that they care of what I'm doing. My PI, she's very, like, attentive on my family aspect. So she knows, like, she's always asking me, like, how are your kids? How is your family? How is everything going? Like, she's just making sure that everything outside the lab, it's also going well. So she can push and ask me.
So you feel like she cares.
Oh, definitely.
And that helps.
And that's something that personal bonding, it's important. And I had that with my PIs in general. Like, I know they care about me. So I do care about what I'm doing, and I try to do it better, because I care about them too.
So is that like a career that you're thinking about, being a principal investigator for a lab? I
think so. I don't discard that. That's something that I would like to explore, but not right now. I know I'm not able to do it right now. I'm really dragging. I think I will try to make a postdoc after I finish, so I can still get in the feeling of doing research. But I also know, like, being a PI has all other baggage. Like, it's more stuff, just not teaching or having your lab and doing grants. You will have to start, like, thinking about administrative stuff, and it's hard, but someone has to do it, I guess.
Someone has to do it.
Yeah.
That's true. So do you enjoy mentoring? Like you said, you mentioned that you mentor undergrads in your lab.
Yeah, we do have undergrads.
So do you enjoy doing that?
Yes, I do. I do. We have one specific undergrad that she has been for a while in the lab, I guess like 3 years. Who does that? She started while she was like starting. And after 3 years, I really can see a difference. Like, you were not like this when you started, and it's very nice to be involved, like, in that
in the
part.
journey.
Yes, like, yes, this is very interesting. I am doing things that I wish more people could have done for me while I was studying. But of course, that also depends on the person. Like, you cannot push someone that doesn't want to be pushed. But when you find that person that really wants to learn, and I mean, I can teach. It's very good when they learn how to do things by themselves, and then you can trust them on whatever you need.
That's good when you trust them, yeah.
Yes, it's good. It helps a lot. Yes.
Yeah. So do you think that you would want to stay in America when you finish?
I'll try.
Or would you like to go back to your country?
I would love to come back, but I know I cannot do it just yet. I feel like I need more tools. I need more experience. Once I feel like I have everything I need to have to try to make a change, because it requires another mentality.
Yes.
I will definitely consider that. But so far, I know, like, at least there is more technology here available that I can use that I don't have in my country. And if I want to do it, I really have to fight a lot. And I also have to think of my family, like, well-being. So I guess for my kids, it's going to be good to be in a certain place, at least for certain longer periods of time.
Yes. Oh, that's amazing. So now that you mentioned your kids again.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. I was wondering, what else do you do for yourself then in your free time? Because that's important.
I know. It's just, I guess it's just things that I know I am the only one that enjoys doing it. Like, of course, I dedicate a lot of my time using, like, media. And then I found out that I'm starting to have, like, these very DIY hobbies. So you see me, like, flipping furniture, trying to put peel stick paper in my whole house. And I try to do that by myself because that's my, I don't know, I guess I kind of relieve some energy.
Absolutely. And you need that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I also started to have plants, which is something that I never thought I would do, by the way. But I guess that's the type of things that I do. I do it for my house, but I also do it for me because I like to see things a certain way. And yeah, I guess it's that. I don't have any other hobbies other than that.
Well, that's lovely though. That's nice. It's good to have that, especially, like, finishing my first year. I spent a lot of time, like, learning new things because of the rotations. So I was somewhere for 5 weeks, and then I felt like I was finally getting it in, and then suddenly I switched to a new lab, and everything I had to just start from zero. So I think it's important to go somewhere and completely turn off, do your thing, and then come back.
Yeah, I do that definitely. I don't take my work to my house. I cannot do it.
Because some people do that.
Yeah,
yes.
but I learned it the hard way. Actually, my second semester was really hard because I had, like, a lot of duties. And I was like, I will finish it at home. And one day I wanted to finish it at home. It was pretty late, but my kid got sick. And we had to run to the ER. And I was like, I just cannot do this again.
Yes.
I need to finish whatever I have to finish on the time that I have available right now, because I never know what will happen later that will not allow me to finish what I need to finish. So I see an email and I feel like I need to do it right now and I have the time, I will reply and I will finish, because then I don't know if I will have time tomorrow.
That's understandable.
So I learned that the hard way. And I guess that's something that more people can also do. Like, if you have time now, use it and finish whatever you have to do.
That's fair. Well, thank you very much, Mayra.
Oh, thank you
I
so
really
much.
appreciate you sharing all of your journeys here with us.
Thank you.
It was eventful.
This was fun.
Today's episode was hosted by Veronika Mojik and produced by Anthony Matarazzo and Isabella Childers. This podcast is brought to you by the Texas A&M University Interdisciplinary Graduate Program in Genetics and Genomics. If you have any questions about our program here at A&M, please feel free to email us at bluejeansandboots@gmail.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and X at Genetics Podcast. Thank you for listening, and we hope you'll tune in next time.